Welcome. This is what is going on in the Sun today, 25th of July 2011. 27 years ago this day, the Soyuz 7 cosmonaut Svetlana Savitskaya set a new space record. The trivia question is, what was that record? The answer will be given at the end. The GOES X-ray plot shows us that the X-ray background, at least towards the end of the period, is beginning to rise. So we need to take a look at the sunspot regions and see if we can get a clue as to why that's the case. And quite frankly, it doesn't. Region 1250 has now disappeared. They've numbered a new region 1260 in the northeast, the one that was coming over the limb yesterday, but again that is nothing to write home about. So I'm not quite sure where all this additional activity is coming from. Perhaps we'll have to look at the Coronal movies to see why the Sun is suddenly becoming more enthusiastic about activity. In the White Light movie from HMI, I'd like you to concentrate on the decay and disappearance of region 1259 and also the development, or lack thereof, in region 1260. Similarly, in the magnetic movie, look at the development of 1259 and 1260. However, also note there's a large number of smaller regions dotted all over the disk, none of which seem to be producing sunspots. Now the AIA data seems to be completely screwed up, so there isn't a great deal that we can do with it, but I've included it for completeness. There doesn't seem to be any major eruptions from the transition region movie. You can see it's the region in the southwest that is by far the brightest and the most dynamic. So region 1254 going over the west limb is actually the one that seems to be producing most of this increase in activity, which unfortunately means that by tomorrow it will be gone. Hooray! SOHO returns. We have all the SOHO data working again. Perhaps some of my complaining did some good. Let's first take a look at the C2 instrument, and you'll see that there's a beautiful coronal mass ejection off the northwest limb. If you look at the C3 instrument, you can see Venus off to the west of the solar limb, but that's just a nuisance. The real information here is in the coronal mass ejection, which seems to be spreading out to the edge of the coronagraph field of view quite rapidly. ACE tells us about what's going on with the solar wind, and we can see that over the last 24 hours, in fact Noah was right and I was wrong, in that the speed of the solar wind has increased as they predicted, as has the density and the temperature. So that small coronal hole in the southwest is affecting us to some level. The 2 MeV electron flux reached a particularly high level in the last 24 hours. However, again, because we've had no major C flare, and because we've had no major flares, the proton flux remains stubbornly at base level. The auroral zones seem quite a bit more agitated than they were yesterday, and the KP index has been varying between 0 and 3. So in summary then, the X-ray background is at the B2 level, sunspot number is at 46, radio sun intensity has dropped to 86 solar flux units, the solar wind speed has increased to over 600 km per second with a density of about 1 proton per cubic centimetre, and geospace conditions are still rated as quiet. So my forecast then is not horribly different from yesterday, with an intermittent chance of C flares but a very low probability of getting M or X flares. The sunspot number will remain low, but the chance of getting coronal mass ejections is good. Solar wind speed will go back lower again, but the chance of getting a major geomagnetic storm in the next 24 hours is very low. We can see from the composite coronal image that there's regions both in the north and south due to come over the east limb in the next day, but again none of them look particularly powerful, so don't expect a major increase in activity as a result. If you want to find out more about what's going on in the Sun, please follow some of the links in the description box below. If you want to see earlier editions of The Sun Today, go to my channel and they're all listed there. The answer to the trivia question was Svetlana was the first woman to walk in space. So that's it for today. Keep safe. Bye for now.